Welcome. My name is Stephanie Ellis, and I'm a psychologist and a concerned parent. This is part of my series, trying to get the word out to parents, districts, and schools about the research related to the need for starting high school later, at least 8:30 a.m. Okay? In this video, I'm going to talk to you about some of the common myths and misconceptions around a later high school start. So let's get going. Myth number 1. Teens are lazy. They aren't. Or at least that's not what's going on here, okay? Teens need more sleep than adults. They need more sleep than they did in late childhood, right? The research is clear. They need 8.5 to 10 hours per night, probably with an average of 9.25 to 9.5 hours a night. They're not getting that. They're going through really major physical and cognitive maturation. It requires more sleep. Most of the body's growth and repair processes happen when you're asleep, and teens have all the regular stuff that they have to contend with along with puberty. All right, they need long enough to get plenty of deep, slow wave sleep, which is what their bodies are doing in terms of growth and maintenance. That's when that happens, okay, in repair of their physical bodies. And they need plenty of active REM sleep for emotion regulation and memory consolidation processes, right? They need more sleep. All right, hear this one from parents a lot. They just want to stay up late on their phones. Of course they do. And when I say that, what I mean is if they're going to stay up late, which they are, of course they want to be on their phones. I don't think that's a good idea either. Definitely set limits on your kids' devices for sure, okay? But that's not the reason that they stay up late. The reason they stay up late is because the adolescent sleep cycle, or the sleep cycle during puberty across mammals, changes in this way, where getting sleepy happens later and waking up happens later. It's normal, it's developmental, it's biological, all right? Both of the main processes that tell your body when it's time to go to sleep, one of them is called drive for sleep. And that has to do with certain chemicals building up in your body like melatonin and adenosine, okay? And also the circadian rhythm, which you're probably more familiar with, that has to do with your alertness and body temperature and productivity throughout the day, and the time that you begin to feel sleepy and the time that you feel rested and wake up. All of that shifts during puberty, okay? It's called the delayed onset sleep phase shift, right? It is healthy, it's developmental, just the same way that a shift towards earlier falling asleep and earlier waking up is normal and developmental and biological for older adults. I know it's tempting to believe this, that if they start school later, they'll just stay up later, right? Their bedtimes will just be later, and it turns out they don't. Study after study after study has been done and shows that teens keep the same bedtimes, and virtually every single minute that the school day is delayed turns into an additional minute of actual sleep for teens. I'm not sure if you might believe this myth if you have watched any of these other videos. Teens get plenty of sleep. Absolutely not. They don't. They just simply don't. Okay, American Academy of Pediatrics calls tired teens a public health epidemic, all right? Teens need more sleep than adults and kids. They're not getting it, all right? Compared to an average 40-year-old who needs about 7.5 hours of sleep, teens need about 9.5 hours a night, and they're not getting it, okay? 73% of teens are not getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night. 68% of them are getting less than 7 hours. Well, okay, they're not getting enough sleep during the week with school, with extracurriculars, with staying up late, all of this, but they can make up for it on the weekends, right? They'll just sleep in on the weekends. No. Though teens and adults, for that matter, will oversleep on the weekends as they attempt to reduce what's called their sleep debt, there's not really such a thing as catch-up sleep. It doesn't work that way, all right? Even the combination of napping during the week and sleeping longer on the weekend is not as restorative as getting sufficient sleep during the week. Partly that has to do with sleep architecture and how the type and quality of sleep you get changes over the night. It's probably outside the scope of this video if I want to keep it a reasonable amount of time. right? But sleeping in on the weekends, while a lot of teens feel that that is necessary, actually creates a kind of jet lag for them starting the next week. So if they are sleeping in an extra 5 hours, they're kind of flying across 5 time zones by the time that they have to get up for school on Monday. Decreases cognitive performance during the next week, decreases mood for the next several days. It's usually not until about the next weekend that they're back on schedule, and then what? Oversleeping again. I really appreciate this one, all right, because I know that parents' hearts are in the right place here. All right, my kids need to wake up early to prepare them for the real world. All right, they don't. Okay, first of all, waking up earlier during high school does not make waking up for jobs or early college classes any easier. Okay, if they really have to do it, if they have to wake up early for college, which a lot of times they don't, and many colleges are abolishing the 8 a.m. class rule for the same reason, because adolescence really does last until people are in their early 20s. Okay, so a lot of colleges have done away with that too, the early start. But if they need to wake up early for college, or if they need to wake up early for a job, they can make that transition in about 2 weeks. All right, they're going to be able to do it. Waking up early for the 4 years of high school is not going to help with that. Okay, they don't really start to have that better fit, that kind of adult fit with the adult world between their own circadian rhythm and the typical work environment until they're about 25. And so when we force the early wake up and we force the sleep deprivation in high school, turns out we're just setting them up for problems down the road. We're setting them up for problems in physical health, mental health. Even less likely graduation, right? We have lower graduation rates when we have these early high school times. That is the opposite of preparing them for the real world. So I love this one. I know that hearts are in the right place. It's just the research doesn't pan that out. Okay, if you have seen the video about problematic behavior and juvenile delinquency and how that also is improved with a later high school start time, sometimes I hear this, okay? Kids are still going to get to school super early because their parents are going to drop them off or they don't have any other place to be. And so they're just going to be delinquent then, right? Okay, maybe. Actually, maybe. The evidence that that even happens seems to be anecdotal. Can't find any research about changing high school start times and the number of sort of roaming high schoolers that there are. But even if that's accurate, it still reduces the number of teens who are sleep deprived. It still reduces the number of teens who are on the road at these insane hours of the morning, okay? It still will give the benefit to everybody who doesn't have to be to school super early better chances and delays the academic portion at least, so we would still see the improvements in the academic piece, right? If this is a legitimate concern, if it turned out to be a legitimate concern, there really are strategies that can be used to combat the problems here. So for example, non-academic zero periods for high schoolers, okay, where they can be inside their buildings, they can be minimally supervised. And listen, if we made that time study hall, if we made time for them to have safe social connections, if we made physical activity available for them, or if we gave breakfast to some of the kids in this country with food insecurity, the benefits of that would be even higher. So I'm not saying that that might not happen. I'm saying we don't really know if it happens, and if it does, there are ways to make it work. Okay, you say, but my kid is fine. Other parents should just do stuff more like me, the way that we do it in my family. My kid's fine. They're sleeping enough. Not so fast, are they? Because one of the things that gets studied alongside the studies that show that teens are definitely absolutely not getting enough sleep, almost all of them, okay, is that 71% of parents believe their adolescent is getting enough sleep. So just, you might not really know, you know? And you know what? Here's the thing. Maybe your kid is fine. Be awesome. Help other kids too, right? This is everybody in our district. It's the safety of our communities. You and your kids are going to be walking and driving on the same streets as these really, really overtired teens. All right. This is an effort for all of us. I love this one, okay, because it's just from the heart. I and all other adults will just hate this. That is why I don't want to do it. And you know what? Probably not. Okay, what happens is that yes, there is a period of short-term adjustment, and that is what parents and teachers don't like. I hear you, all right? But research says in schools with later start times, 92% of parents preferred the later start time after its first year of implementation. All right, they were worried. They were worried about busing, and they were worried about sports, and they were worried about childcare, and 92% of them were glad about the change after they made the adjustment. So it's the kind of thing that if we are caring about our kids and our community's really long-term welfare, we might just have to suck it up and be uncomfortable for a very short amount of time and then see what happens, because all these good things are in store for us. This lady has an agenda. That's me. That's me with my fancy hair. And you know what? I do. I really do. It's going to inconvenience me too. It's going to change my work schedule. It's going to make me work fewer hours. It is going to be an inconvenience. And you know what? My agenda is still safer kids and communities. It's still healthier teens turning into healthier adults. It's still kids being able to learn to their maximum potential in school. Don't you want that stuff? Isn't that your agenda too? Isn't that the agenda of our districts, of our administrators, of our teachers, of all of these stakeholders? And you know what? I think they just might not know. So let's get the word out. Believe the data. All right, there are a lot of myths and misconceptions about starting school later, and those are the things that I think are getting in the way. Maybe at Fort Bend ISD, maybe in your district, wherever it is that you are watching this from. Somebody somewhere doesn't know what a good idea this is and how necessary. So please share the word. All right, thank you so much for watching.